supportive. So there's no reason that same dynamic can't play out in the workplace.
I spoke to someone recently, and I'll anonymize some of this, but someone that works at a large tech company, and they are an executive, and they were talking about how they vibe coded a bunch of their own agents to do the role of middle managers and to directly see what every IC on their team is doing. And they have a very large number of ICs in their org chart. And so this person was just saying, he doesn't need middle manager. And, I'm summarizing the less nice parts, but he was like, yeah, this is much better because now I can actually have a real-time window into what every IC is doing and give them immediate feedback. And so we are moving way faster at this large tech company he works at. So I don't know. I think it was really interesting to hear this from someone on the ground that's building this stuff.
And I think this will have impacts on how large companies can grow even, because historically, one of the reasons that big companies get complex and inefficient and political is that you have these layers and layers of middle management that just kind of add confusion and slowness. And so if you think about AI replacing all of that, in theory, that might allow people to actually grow much larger organizations. And one, I'm kind of speculating here, but I think maybe one example of this is Anthropic, where everyone is pretty impressed that they keep launching kind of like major products that seem to murder a batch of startups every week or so. And I think part of the reason they have that is that they're using these AI tools internally so that relatively small teams can launch high impact products.
To get a little bit philosophical, I think everyone wants to be their own boss. And one of the sales pitch things that PG would do for YC is to tell founders you don't need a boss, so you should start a startup. But inevitably, if you want to make money, you usually have to work somewhere where you do have a manager, right? Is there a positive utopian angle on this where most people will be much happier with an AI manager? like this actually might make humanity better off.
For sure. I mean, I think like more often than not, you hear stories of people who hate their manager, right? And again, humans are humans. They're going to bring all of their own issues to work. AI, you potentially have someone just like who's always available, who always listens, who's always fair, who isn't, injecting their own politics or anything into the decision.
And so one could argue that this is actually going to make people happier in their future jobs.
Yeah, no one ever says like, wow, I love that I'm 10 layers away from the CEO.
And so what are the big trends that we're seeing and how our startups are like building tooling around this? Like how do you actually go about implementing a no middle manager policy from what we're seeing?
Well, I think as a startup, you just keep scaling and fixing the problems as they occur with AI. I mean, that's, I think what we would call the AI native approach is that you solve all of your problems with AI.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me to throw in something like super specific, I think people are using Clause to do this. You don't have to, but you can have some sort of loop, go look at every check-in everyone is doing and summarize it. It would be hard for a person to review every single line of code that every engineer is doing yourself. But wow, AI is really good at summarizing that stuff. And so I guess my concrete suggestion to people trying to do this would be tell your agent to read literally everything about what every person in your organization is doing and to summarize it into a chunk that you can actually make sense of, and then do this in real time every day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the way I like to think about using AI is kind of just as a cognitive multiplier. So if you think to yourself, well, how would I do the job if I just had unlimited time? And then essentially just give those same instructions to the AI because it effectively does have unlimited time.
Cool. So any last predictions for what you think these organizations will look like once we keep iterating on this? Like what's going to be left?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately you have to figure out who's creating the value, and then hopefully that's the part of the organization where you're able to really focus your attention and your resources. Overall, everything's just going to be able to move that much faster because we won't have all the layers of confusion that are introduced by middle management.
I like it. And I like to think that'll make everyone happier. So
it's guaranteed.